Hey everybody, welcome to the Morphin Grid. I'm Jake.
I'm Josh. Falling asleep.
What? Do you want to not do this?
No, it's fine. You
Okay.
can just cut out the dead air.
Yeah.
And everything will be good. Anyway,
Everything will
this
be.
episode, we're talking about love, peace, and woe.
Peace, love, and woe.
Peace, love, and woe. Is it?
Yep.
It is. It is peace, love, and woe.
Yep, this is one of your favorite episodes, as we talked about last time.
Which might have gotten cut from the end because of the static.
Because there was some static, yeah.
So I'll say it now. This is one of my favorite episodes because Madame Woe is one of my favorite villains.
There's some cool stuff with Madame Woe. Her mask changes.
Oh, that'll be... Yeah,
It's a really creepy episode. Like, I bet the Z Ranger episode is, like, really creepy.
it's off the charts. Creepy,
So-
yeah.
So what we're going to do, if this is your first time here, hey, welcome to the podcast. What we do is we pause the recording, we go watch an episode of Power Rangers, and then we come back and we talk about what happened in that episode. I don't know if I mentioned this episode aired on September 21st, 1993. No, I didn't, but it did.
No, you did.
So we're gonna jump right into it.
Yep.
Ready?
Peace, love, and woe.
It's more for time.
Then we're back.
We just watched Peace, Love, and Woe.
Peace, love, and woe.
And it was a totally different episode than what I was thinking of.
Not as creepy as I remember it. I still love Madame Woe, but I wish they did more with her.
I had another episode entirely in my head. The one where there's like with the super creepy statue that Trini gets made. It's like got a face on it, but it's like a block.
Tickle Sneezer.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking of Tickle Sneezer. Oh,
Hey.
getting fresh under the table there.
Hey, now.
All right, so
Now, I just want to say, before we get started, that Madame Woe is not a monster created by Finster.
no, she's just a.
She exists in the universe. So Madame Woe is our third character in Evil High. Along with
Yes.
Rita and Divatox.
And Zed.
And Zed, so we're at 4.
We're at 4. Bring in Astronema towards the end because she's like the new kid, you know?
Right, because she has to get kidnapped.
Yeah.
And then,
So,
right. Anyway,
yeah.
I just wanted to say that.
So before we get into the episode, but after that little note, let me tell you where you can find us on the internet. So you can go to our main website, which is morphingrid.tumblr.com. You can email us, littleidiots.morphingrid@gmail.com. And you can talk to us on Twitter @morphingrid. We're also on iTunes. Okay, so jumping into the episode, there's a dance party going on that night at the juice bar.
Yes.
Not at the school, where the school functions are held in every other place. So my first note is just skate or die.
My first note is relevant right now.
Bulk skating in on a skateboard.
It only works until the end of the episode when it doesn't work anymore.
Sure.
My first note is just Zack the Purple Ranger. Because in the beginning of the episode, he's head to toe in purple.
Yes, he is. Yep.
He's got purple pants,
Oh.
purple striped shirt.
Purple pants are not as bad as red pants, which we'll get to.
Zack wearing colored pants is fine because he's like... He's the kind of guy that would wear colored pants. He's
Yeah.
flashy.
Right.
So
Jason doesn't.
Jason's just the stoic guy who's always standing with his arms crossed.
In red pants.
Red pants. His dress-up pants.
I wrote dance party because it wasn't super clear in the beginning that that's what was going on that night. There's
Right,
just a
'cause-
sign that says dance, 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 and they're setting up for something, but I'm not sure what. There's just a dance party going on at the juice bar.
Yep.
So that's neat. Ernie. Ooh.
Bulkmeyer is wreaking havoc on a skateboard.
He is tearing it up, Bucky Lasek style. No, he's not. I just wanted to name drop Bucky Lasek, I guess. He's my favorite skateboarder. But anyway, Totally not the point. Ernie's got a cake because he's always got a cake.
Ernie is just walking around the juice bar with cakes.
With this giant sheet cake. It's like 3 foot by 2 foot. And Bulk's like, Kimberly's like, watch where you're going. Bulk's like, I'll go wherever I want. And then turns around into the cake.
Into the cake.
And this cake falls good. This isn't just like oops, I got some on me. It was like the cake exploded. It all dripped off the board it was on. It's just in a pile on the floor. And this is when Ernie like turns into the bouncer of the juice bar, not just the owner. And he's like, you guys owe me some money or you can get out forever.
And then he throws them out.
He throws them out. And we don't see him again until the end of the episode.
Also, when we started, Jason is teaching karate to Trini.
It's
not teaching, but like...
Here's a move. Like, here's a combo that might be cool. You should try it.
And as Bulk skates by, Trini kicks him in the butt.
Yep.
Very lightly. It's more of just like a shove. And she's like, ooh, sorry, Bulk. Which is something I want to bring up later.
In the butt.
I just wanted to say it now so I could talk about it later. Okay.
Because my next note is Trilly watch. Because they're talking...
It's only really at the beginning of the episode, and then my heart falls down into my stomach.
Because they're asking Billy if they're like, hey, do you ask anybody to dance? Or like, you should, Zach's like, let me show you some moves so you can get some ladies. And
let me show you some moves, and then he busts. Not what I'm doing.
He busts a move.
He busts a move.
MC Young style. MC Young?
MC Hammer?
MC Cool Cat?
A little cool hammer?
MC Cool Cat was in a Paula Abdul video, I think.
Oh, it was the Opposites Attract video.
But who? I think it's MC Young.
I don't know.
Who did the bust a move.
You want it. You
got it. Just bust a move. Yeah.
Anyway.
That's all.
We can do 90s cast later.
Oh, can we?
Maybe.
Okay, anyway, so I just keep looking at this one note that I'm not getting to yet, and I want to make a joke about it, but it's not the time. So Zach's like, oh, yeah, let me teach you, get some ladies with some dancing. And Billy's like, I don't want to, in Billy speak, he's like, I don't want to just dance to attract women, because he's terrible at it, as we've established. And then Zach doesn't understand what he says, so Trini, translates, as is their relationship. But this is when I have some confusing feelings about the episode. So Billy goes to leave because he's got a weather device, because he's Cobra Commander, I guess, that he's got to work on.
No, they say something like, have you asked anybody or whatever? And he basically says no.
He says, no, I'm going to stay home with my weather device.
When he says I'm going to stay home, it's him and Trini in the shot.
Yes.
Trini's like over his right shoulder, and she looks at him kind of like, girl, no you didn't.
This is the only real Trilly watch we have.
This is really it, because after this, she's on board with him and Marge.
Trilly watch. So what happens is, she looks at him like, you're just gonna stay home. Like, what I'm reading out of this is, you're not asking me to the party.
Yes, that's exactly what her face says.
But then he's like, gotta go. Weather device isn't gonna build itself. Because again, Cobra Commander, I guess. I don't know why he's got a weather device. Billy, what do you need that for? So he goes to leave and he bumps into a girl. Marge. And then some sexy music starts playing. Yeah, like
that was terrible sexy music. Good thing I'm already married. Yep. Otherwise I'd be in trouble.
The music is sort of like a little bit Barry White, but like the public domain version, Barry White. And my note is just sexy music with girl Billy, because she's like, neither of us were observing our proper designated exit or entrance or whatever. And he's like, well said. And then for like 25 minutes, he tries to put her necklace back on her.
I think you were taking a note at this point. Her necklace falls off, and he's like, oh, your necklace. She's like, yeah, it falls a lot. And they both go to pick it up, and they bonk nods.
Heads, yeah.
To a weird little noise.
And so he picks it up and he tries to put it back on her. And for like I said, 20 to 25 minutes, he just awkwardly bumps into her shoulders with this necklace.
Like, before they bend down to get the necklace and do the whole thing with the necklace, like, every time Billy's in the shot, you can see Trini in the background. It's blurry, like, because Billy's in focus, but you know it's Trini because it's the long black hair and the yellow shirt.
And the yellow, staring dino daggers into Marge. Okay, let's do Truly Watch now. I know I already did the theme music for it.
I thought we did Truly Watch.
No, well, I mean, this is kind of abandoning ship, sort of. Or at least they are.
Are we sticking a fork in Truly Watch?
Well, no, because maybe it comes back up. But, like,
maybe.
Billy gets a lot of girls.
He does.
A lot of girls for one episode apiece. Starting with, her name was Melissa, turns out, the deaf girl.
Right.
Not Becky. There was no Becky or Becca in that. The other girl's name wasn't Becky or Becca either. So there's her, whatever. And then now there's Marge, and then later there's another girl. Like it happens enough, but there's a big enough gap in between to where like maybe they're just like, oh, we're too good of friends. We should see other people, and then 2 episodes later they're like, never mind. Because they're teenagers and they're fickle. They don't know what they want.
Idea.
Like, because throughout the course of this episode, it starts off with Trini going, like, "Oh, you're not inviting me," to like kind of staring daggers at Marge, then over to, oh, let's get you with Marge. Like it's weird. It's really weird. I don't like it.
I think. A lot of it is because we're looking for Trini and Billy to be together.
Yes. This is okay, and this is a good point where we can talk about when people's headcanons go too far. Because this is a thing that happens on the internet a lot, where people will like superimpose their headcanons over what's there.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we're doing now.
Pretty much.
And it gets malignant sometimes. Like people will get you've seen the first couple seasons. You haven't seen all of Avatar: The Last Airbender, right?
Right.
Well, that's a darn shame. But everyone, not everyone. There was the Zutara shippers thought Zuko and Katara were going to get together, even because it was obvious that it was going to be her and Aang from the very beginning. But the whole idea was oh, that's too obvious. It's going to be these guys, and then they got violent about it over the course of the next 3 years. They're ship to ship combat, it got bad. And then the end of it, when Zuko and Katara don't get together, spoilers, but
not really.
They were legitimately mad
because they made up a thing that they're wrestling fans.
Exactly, because the thing they fantasy booked in their head didn't happen, so they got super mad. So guys. If you're gonna like something, and and this goes even down to if you're gonna ship something, go ahead, do it, do your best.
But don't get mad when it's not real.
But don't get mad when it's not real, because look,
we're acting mad. We know Billy and Trini's not a real thing.
No, because Trini leaves eventually, and then Billy gets a little alien lady.
He turns into an old man and goes to
Power Rangers,
Aquaphor,
you guys,
or whatever planet that is.
He goes to Planet Aquaphor, where all your tattoos heal amazingly. But Aquatar is what it's called.
Aquatar, that's it.
But if you're gonna do this, just be ready for this thing that you've made up to not be real. And let me be the first to say that I hate the fact that Hermione and Ron got together in Harry Potter.
And so
does J.K. Rowling. So I am vindicated, baby.
That clap was a self-high five.
Self-high five, DDP style.
Bang.
Feel the bang. So, this will end Truly Watch for now, because there's really nothing else.
Because the rest is Trini trying to get Billy
Trini being on board with this. There's one other point in a minute where she's I feel this is when she is on the fence, and she's whatever, I'll just let him have it.
Right.
For this week, because I know she'll be gone next week. All of Billy's friends disappear within a week.
She's got to go with Trevor and Judy and Sylvia.
Tyrone and Sylvia.
I said Trevor. I meant Tyrone.
And Willie.
Trevor is a wrestling character that we made up.
That technically exists, but doesn't. If you want to hear more, Wrestling You Guys, the podcast.
Should be starting up soon.
In a couple weeks. It's going to be more explicit. We're not going to not swear in it because it's hard not to when you talk about the most frustrating, lovely thing there is.
I'll make sure when I create the podcast stream that I check the explicit box.
Okay.
Just to be safe.
All right. So anyway, Billy and Marge are now sitting at a table and they're just talking about stuff. They're just like, they're sort of like, it's that weird like, hey, I think we like each other dance.
I just met you.
And this is crazy.
This is crazy.
But... You want to go talk about my weather machine in the park at 4, maybe?
That is the hook. That's what gets her to the park. Is that they're going to talk about Billy's weather machine.
And but before then, she's like, my grandmother gave me this necklace when I graduated the Super Accelerated Baby Geniuses program, and this is my friend Andy Bjorklund. Who, if you're in a position to hire a script supervisor, definitely do that because he's amazing. But his most hated movie is Super Babies Baby Geniuses 2. Or it was until Super Babies Baby Geniuses 3 came out. Or Super Babies 2 Baby Geniuses 3 came out. That's the real title, I believe. So as soon as...
It's kind of like how Operation Condor...
And Operation Condor 2 Armor of God are
sequels to each other.
Sequels to each other, and also the first one in the series, depending on where you are. That's Jackie Chan movies. Operation Condor is the better one, though. Yeah. The second one was not as good, which was the first one.
Right. So there's Armor of God, Operation Condor 2, and Operation Condor, Armor of God 2.
Yes. So anyway, so when she said I was in the Baby Geniuses program, I was like, oh man, number one, she's a super baby. And then number two, I can only think of Andy freaking out about how much he hates this movie.
She's a grown-up super baby, as is Billy, because he graduated from the same program.
Graduated from Super Babies Baby Geniuses 2.
Advanced, accelerated
baby geniuses. They can run very fast. Also, we're gonna jump into our other segment. What was Kimberly wearing? Which doesn't have a theme song yet. But she's currently, this is a two-parter, but the second part is like really quick. She's in like exercise gear, which is just pink tights, blue floral crop top over her pink. I think it's not tights; it's a leotard, and then some leg warmers.
She has pink, low cut Chucks on.
She did.
They're not the high top ones.
They're not the high tops.
She has pink socks coming out of them.
Right. Yes. They're pretty thick socks. I thought they were leg warmers for a second, but now that you mention it. No, they weren't.
They're knee-high socks scrunched down.
Yeah.
Because the 90s.
Because the 90s. That would be our 90s podcast.
Because the 90s.
Because the 90s. So then we go to Rita, who like yells to the ocean, Madam Woe, get over here.
Well, earlier she was talking to Babu.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think I'm going to get Madam Woe to get these guys. And Babu's like, what? No.
Don't do that.
She might even be worse than you.
And yeah, Squat said something about that too. He's like, she's almost as evil as you are.
Right, yeah. That's how Squat talks.
Like, yeah, in my head. So Madame Woe's chilling in her rock cave jetty that she lives on. Thing.
Probably in another dimension.
Maybe, because she has that power. A lot of people have the power to send people to other dimensions.
Because other dimensions are scary.
That's true. This second dimension was like a rock. So she's like, okay, you need to get the power. You need to send him to another dimension, Madame Woe. You gotta do this. One of them's gonna be there at the park at 4:00. And so Madame Woe is like, I'm on it, Empress. So apparently Rita has an empire, but she's not governing it because she's too busy trying to ruin these 5 kids'
She gets called Empress a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know how often. I know it's happened before. I don't know how often it's happened, but especially from Green with Evil on.
Yes, because Goldar.
Because Goldar and Evil Tommy both refer to her as Empress.
Right. Yeah. So where is her empire?
It's her, Babu, Squat, and Goldar.
And presumably...
And Scorpina for a while later.
Scorpina and like a bunch of... Maybe there's like just a bunch of dudes
Scorpina,
down in Club Pandora.
in Evil High.
Yes. Oh, man. She'd be like the volleyball, like the...
And Goldar would be like the quarterback.
Yeah.
And they'd be... Because in Juranja...
In Juranja, they're married.
They are married.
Yeah. They had a wedding.
They're space married. They had a space wedding with lots of space cake.
Space balloons. So...
You'd think it was chrome, but it was gold. Because it's Goldar.
Yep.
Anyway... Scorpina doesn't even exist yet.
Yeah.
We're getting way off track.
So, where am I?
I don't know.
So, Marge is early to... Because he said, meet me there at precisely 4 o'clock.
And Marge is so excited that she cannot
she gets
wait.
there early. Or Billy's late because all scientists are late.
Right.
To everything. Because they're so busy thinking about stuff. They forget what time it is. It's a trope of every single fiction type there is that the brainy guy is late. Even the Flash. The Flash's gimmick is that he's the fastest man alive, but he's always late to stuff in his personal life.
Because he's doing all the science.
That and he's fighting crime, so he's always late to his real life stuff. It's amazing. I love the Flash. Oh man. Anyway, so Marge is there early, and this is when I wrote down Marge in a minute because I didn't hear her name before. And I was like, Marge? She's early. Madame Woe comes down. She's like, I'm going to get you, you Power Ranger. And Marge is like, I'm not a Power Ranger. And Madame Woe's like, that's what a Power Ranger would say. And she trapped her in another dimension.
Yes.
Which is like a cave.
This is my second note.
You got 2 notes. Josh, you're trying to usurp my spot of note taker?
I'm looking at it. I know what it says. I don't need to look at it. But she grabs Marge, puts her in the Woe dimension. The dimension O Woe.
The Trio Woe.
The Trio Woe. And Marge just met Billy and talked to him for 10 minutes today.
Right.
So the first thing she does when she gets there is say, Billy! My note is just met, most important.
Well, it's because they're teenagers, right? And so everything is the most important thing in the world. And everything else is the end of it. So...
That's fair enough.
So she's not... Maybe she thought that Billy was...
Well, Billy's like on his way to the park.
And like she wanted to warn him or something. But he gets there and there's no... Like her necklace is there because it always falls off. So, back on the moon, Rita's like, I started to get the Power Ranger, you idiot! Not just a girl! And Madame Woe didn't really say anything, but she could have been like, maybe if you would have told me anything...
Right.
You just said the Power Ranger will be there. And that's the only person that was there. So I got it. I got her. So Billy gets there and he's like, oh man. And then putties attack him. Yep. And so he texts the Rangers.
He communicates. He doesn't. They talk. It's a communication call. Text.
And so he's like, hey, putties, help me. No Marge.
I need a better Ranger.
I need a better Power Ranger. Which will come up in a minute. And so they all get there. They teleport close but not there, so they can run in to be the heroes. He's like, thanks for the rapid response.
Accelerated response. Because accelerated baby geniuses.
Yes. It's on his brain. So then they fight the putties, and this is a really cool fight scene.
This one's good.
Because it shows how everyone fights in different ways and how like their fighting style is their personality. Like Zach's doing all these like...
I really like the way it started out with all of them were together and then they ran off, but it stayed on Zach because Zach's fight sequence is first.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yeah, that was good. And like, because he goes to a bench and he like fights like 4 putties like around a bench.
Hip-hop over a bench, basically.
And like he steps on it and then lands on the other side, but his leg is still on the bench and he uses that to like push up and kick the putty in the face, and he like lays down, kicks one over him, and then another one off. Then we go to Trini, this is my favorite fight, the favorite of these like little fights in here, because she does Rob Van Dam's Punisher move, right, and trips one putty, but then she just like kicks the crap out of him while he's on the ground, and then like gets up and like she just beats up some putties. Yeah, she doesn't really fight him. She beats him up.
Trini's fighting style is usually stand your ground,
ruin your opponent's day,
counter them, use their momentum to flip them over, whatever. But don't not a lot of running around, a lot of staying where you are,
and it's decisive. It's like don't just hit them and then move on. Like make sure they're dead first.
Right. Which is why she
like stomps the
bicycle
crap
kicks
out.
this guy 17 times.
Oh, it was great. And then Jason, Kimberly's is like really flippy.
She does like a handspring, and then she has to jump over a barrel.
Yeah, that's my note. Is one buddy is Donkey Kong. He just throws a barrel. And then and Jason's is just your Jason fight scene where he's just being a karate dude. And
well, like two putties gang up on him, pull him against a tree, and so he's got to use his legs to fight one off. And so it's a demonstration of his strength, right? Because
he's also the strongest one. Because he's like the biggest dude, you know. But he's also really good at karate. And
this is why I wanted to talk about how when Trini hits Bulk in the butt a little bit, she apologizes profusely to a guy she doesn't even like. But they'll beat the crap out of putties, which is like a weird, not a weird thing, but it's like a thing that Power Ranger does. Is they don't fight people. They only fight. They only beat up monsters.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I do really like that. It's the same thing with Buffy. There's like a whole arc where Faith, who's another vampire slayer, kills somebody, and then Buffy's like super torn up about it because she's like, I want to protect Faith because it was an accident, but she killed someone. And like and there's a whole like thing where like everyone's like, oh, you're a killer, and she's like, no, I'm a slayer. Like we don't kill people. It's a whole thing, and I love it when there's distinctions like that. Yeah, when you're like, the good guys are good for a reason. Right. It's not just like, oh, we're the main characters, so we're the good guys. It's like, no, here's proof. Here's why I'm the hero of this story. And also because Trini, regularly hits people with her feet as hard as she can. So like if she hit Bulk a little bit, she'd be like, I might have just broken his butt.
She also has very tree trunky legs.
She is sturdy, yes, and I am into that. Yeah,
I noticed in this episode because she had like some drapes turned into biking shorts. Yeah, some 70s curtains.
We didn't talk about it last episode, but that like big yellow sweater with short shorts. I'm on board.
That's your jam?
That's my jam. That's the 90s. Were so great for a lot of reasons. After the fight, they are teleported back to the command center because, they don't know where Marge is. They have no idea what's going on with Marge. She just is gone. And Billy explains like, because
they're like, oh, where's Marge? And Jason's like, I bet Rita did it. And then Zordon's like, Rangers, come over here.
Because one of them like said something like, oh, she stand you up, something like that. Because of the way Billy said it, she didn't show, and he's like, not exactly, she did, but she's gone, right? Right.
And Zordon's like, hey, I need you guys at the command center, so they warp there,
they teleport back,
and then immediately he's like, Jason was right, it's Rita.
It's Rita. Look at the viewing globe, and while they're looking at the viewing globe,
guys,
they're looking at the viewing globe, and like it's showing some footage of Z Ranger, which like we've said before is a thing that we like. Where they're like, here's the backstory. It's footage that we couldn't find a place for. Right. But in the background, Alpha is doing like this head, shoulders, knees, and toes deal. Where he touches his head and then touches his shoulders. And then it's just because it's panning across the Rangers. And then Alpha's in the back like, oh, no. Oh, goodness. Madam Woe.
Also, when Rita was talking to Madam Woe in Club Bandora, Madam Woe is motioning with her hands while Rita's talking to her, because I think in the footage Madam Woe is speaking at that point. Right. And it just looks really weird because it's like Madam Woe's just standing there like... Right. Making a silent speech.
Just like, gesturing to things. Look at all this space you have here. I like it. So then Zordon's like, the only way you're going to get back from the other dimension, because you got to go to another dimension to get it, to get Marge back. Why you would want to, I don't know. But you have to put your power coins together and give one Ranger the power of 5 Rangers. And then Billy goes, I volunteer. He's Katniss. I volunteer. I'll do it. And then I was joking. I was like, Billy volunteers. Billy's the guy who had to call all 4 other Rangers because he couldn't take on any putties by himself.
Right, he just got punched in the gut and laid down on a rock.
And he tripped over a rock, yeah. So, why am I the worst? He's like, I volunteer. And Zordon should have been like, are you sure? Maybe someone else?
Maybe Jason?
Like Jason or Zach, Kimberly even? Maybe Bulk? Anyone but you.
Maybe Skull, who might be the Gold Ranger that one time?
Alpha got a plant last time. Let's
Alpha
send
killed
him.
like 5 or 6 putties.
Yeah, way more than Billy can, but because the Z Ranger footage demands it, Billy gets all the power. So Billy gets, not yet, but he is the one who has been chosen to get the power. So they go back to Earth.
Yeah, he steps up and Zordon's like, all right.
Yeah, okay, I guess. Oop, that was me. So they teleport down, they morph, and they go back to Earth, and then they're immediately taken to the other dimension. Because they warp down to wherever Madame Woe is, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take you now." Another note I had is when she came out of this rock face to kidnap Marge. Like we saw what was right where she came from when the Power Rangers came later. There's no rocks there. There's not a cliff. So she just comes out of this. She's like, "I'm gonna get you, Ranger." And then she takes Marge, and then, like, as she's taking Marge, like, it cuts to Marge, cuts back to her, and she's in front of a forest instead. Like,
I didn't notice that.
You just gotta do the best of what you got, I guess. Yep. And if you didn't notice, the odds are good that when it aired, no one else noticed.
Nobody noticed.
So they go to this other dimension, and Billy runs up to her, and he's like, "Marge!" And she's not like, "How do you know who I am? Blue Ranger." Right. Whatever. But he's like, "We're gonna get you out of here. Just stay over here. We're gonna beat her." And so they go fight Madame Woe, and then eventually, like, and the fight is neat because Madame Woe is like in control of her dimension, so she can like teleport between strikes and stuff. There's a lot of neat stuff there.
She controls the weather, which I don't know if we've mentioned yet.
No.
Maybe that's why Billy needed a weather machine.
But he never uses it.
But he never.
So it's sort of a MacGuffin, I guess. You know, like. Because I mean, if you're watching this like a critical eye, you're like, "Oh, the weather machine," and then like the weather pops up later. You're like, "Oh, Billy's gonna save the day with his weather machine."
She specifically controls like thunder, rain, heat, and cold, which is the weather.
Yeah, just the weather patterns that there are. Yep. So they fight her, and she's getting the upper hand. They're like, "Oh, we gotta put the power coins together." So they put them together. And Billy gets super powered and turns into like a Mega Man bullet.
Well, we're never gonna beat her in her own dimension. We gotta get her out of here.
You're right, correct. So Billy turns into a Mega Man bullet, shoots through her, drags her out of the.
It's funny because he's blue.
Yeah, exactly. So drags her out of there with him, and the other Rangers are like, "Don't worry, Marge, it'll be fine.
We're just gonna hang out.
We'll just be here.
Don't worry, Billy.
We might die here because Billy will lose, but we'll be fine, I guess." So then. Billy's getting his butt stomped on by Madame Woe in his dimension.
In his dimension.
And I just read...
And that's what I love about Madame Woe. That's... Madame Woe.
That's what you love about Madame Woe.
Is that the whole time, in her dimension and out of her dimension, as she's beating people up, she's just laughing. Like, maniacally. Yeah. She's enjoying wrecking these people.
Right, ruining their lives. Because she's good at it.
Yeah.
And she's like, "This is why I was called, for this reason." And I just wrote down, definitely should have picked Jason. Definitely should have done that.
Yes.
But, you know, it was Dan, so it had to be Billy.
Dan.
You're just Dan.
No, you're right.
So Billy figures out that the jewel on her head is the key to this other dimension. And so this is when he grabs her, and her terrible mask comes into play.
Her papier-mâché American mask.
Because they apparently... That didn't happen in the Sentai? I'm willing to bet.
In the Sentai footage, because it's only for like 5 seconds that you see this garbage head.
Yeah.
And he pulls the crystal off. But like... The crystal's also not there in the Sentai footage. Like, it got destroyed somehow. I'm assuming it wasn't just Dan ripping it off her head.
Right. Maybe he hit it with his lance or something.
But, like, why couldn't they have used that? Like, we'll have to see what the footage is.
Yeah, we'll have to watch it, because I have no idea.
I also want to see what Madame Woe is in that.
Right. She's a witch. She's a
rock witch.
Yeah.
That can control
Controls the weather. Sort of. Some weathers. Not all of them.
Most of the weathers.
Most of the weathers. So then the Power Rangers come back, and they put together the power cannon, and they shoot her. And before she dies, her last words are, "Woe is me!" Which is cheesy but amazing writing. Because they saved that. They're like, let's call her Madame Woe because she causes woe, and they're like, someone's like, oh, woe is me, and they're like, no, no, woe is her. So like when she died, oh man. So then they just like have this in their pocket, and they're like, oh, it's getting close
because literally she is woe.
Her name is Woe. Oh man,
Madame Woe is also one of the fights in the Sega Genesis Power Rangers fighting game. Yes, it is.
Yep.
And she also laughs in that.
That's awesome. So this is 2 episodes in a row without the Megazord.
Yes.
And I don't know what the next one is. Are they going to go for the hat trick? Are they going to go for 3 in a row?
Probably not.
I don't think so. Because Happy Birthday Zach definitely had it. But then last one didn't. This one didn't. So we'll see. I like them without the Megazord because it gives you
it's more teenager footage,
teenager time. And even if they just replace that with like them as regular Rangers, it's more interesting because the Megazord fights are always the same. You know,
John Cena matches.
It's just like here's the point where the Megazord's in trouble, and then you just insert whatever the power that the monster has.
Right.
You know, so it's like if they would have fought the Terror Toad, they'd be like, oh, now the Megazord's in trouble because he's wrapped up in the thing's mouth.
Or like the Power Sword got eaten.
Yeah, like, you know, things that happen every time.
And then he gets it back by punching him in the throat.
Just punches him right in the stomach and he barfs it up. Then we go, so they beat Madame Woe, who is this terrible, like, brutal monster that laughs while she destroys them, and they just beat her with a power cannon. So, you know, sometimes
now
you're the baddest dude in Revere, but you're still not great.
Rita called Madame Woe and was like, hey, get the Power Rangers in your dimension. And then Madame Woe got them in there.
Yep.
And fought them. Like, why didn't she just leave them there?
Well, one of them would have been able to get out.
So
that's all it took.
It would have been Billy.
But Billy did get out, and Billy,
like, if Madame Woe just didn't fight Billy and just left.
Just went back to her house.
Kept the other 4. Billy would have had to save the world from whatever monster Rita came up with next. Like, he can't even fight 5 putties. Just send putties at Billy. He can't morph until something bigger than putties come up because the Ranger Code.
Well, I think if it's just
all right,
him,
he probably can.
But you're right.
But the strategy was to get the Rangers in the dimension, and then they did that. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe when she has to be in that dimension, unless she doesn't. I don't know. There's weird rules.
Yeah,
it's all falling apart.
Yeah, like okay. If it would have just been Billy, the show would turn into him trying to find Madame Woe.
Right.
And then like it would just be Billy going from like nerd to like bad dude, you know, with a bunch of like machines and like neat stuff, and he'd probably like learn some magic.
That would be cool.
It'd be a really cool show. Instead, we just get the rest of Power Rangers. Thanks, Saban. Anyway, let's go back to the episode. We'll talk about this later. It's a lot.
Okay.
So we go back to the juice bar where the dance party is in full swing.
Everybody's changed, got their going out clothes on.
This is what was Kimberly wearing part 2? Fancy party dress. Not super fancy. It's like, it's sort of conservative.
It's got a nice big collar on it.
It's got a nice collar. It's got some shoulder. Like, they're not shoulder pads, but they're definitely enlarged shoulders.
Right.
It's super cute. I think she looks really good in it. But I think she looks good in basically everything. So, what are you going to do?
Jason changed into red pants for the party.
He dressed up in red pants. Because Jason hates me.
Zach is no longer the Purple Ranger. He's wearing black pants and a black shirt with like yellow and red vertical stripes of varying sizes. The typical Zach fare.
Pretty much. Like as we've established, he's the only one who had like an entire wardrobe before. So he's like, I'm just gonna keep wearing this, maybe that's like the rub. Like, I'm the Black Ranger and I'm black, so like I can wear whatever I want. Right. You know, like he didn't have to buy a bunch of new black shirts and pants. He's like, I have purple pants and I'm gonna wear them because what are you gonna do?
Right.
Nothing. Jason's like, I gotta buy like 1 million pairs of red pants now. Good thing there's that sale down at the mall. Me and Becca will go. Because she was also wearing red pants, if you'll recall.
I don't recall.
It was in the different drum.
I'm not gonna remember that. It's way too far removed.
You're right. It was like 8 episodes ago. Oh. So anyway, people are having a good time. Bulk and Skull are in trench coats and Groucho Marx glasses with the big nose and the mustache.
Because they haven't paid for the cake yet.
No. And so Billy and what's her name? Marge are just talking at a table, right? Is that what's happening?
Yep. Just sitting there chatting it up.
Just chatting.
About how Marge got saved by the Power Rangers.
Right, yes. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's what that note means. She's talking to Billy about Billy, but doesn't know that she's talking to Billy about Billy.
She's talking to Billy about Dan.
About Dan. The Blue Ranger, Dan. And so she's like, I'm partial to Blue. He was so gallant and heroic and all this stuff. And Billy's like, yeah. I mean, oh, cool.
Was he? Right.
Yeah, I like Blue too. Obviously. It's all I wear.
It's all I ever wear.
Specifically overalls. But later he'll get pants. But for now, it's basically just overalls. Overalls all day, a day.
It's because they didn't want him to look buff.
That's the easiest thing to unbuff somebody in, is overalls. Oh, here you go. You look like a farmer. Congratulations. So Ernie catches on. Well, before that, Zach and Jason are like, we're putting all this dance work, and he's just talking to a girl. How's that fair?
Right.
And then,
I mean, if you want to try to talk to Marge,
all yours.
Good luck.
Jason and Marge would be a cute couple, I think.
I would like that.
I think that would be really cute. But we never see Marge again, I don't think.
She's gone forever. This is it. So like all of Billy's girlfriends.
Everyone Billy knows just disappears. His girlfriends, his other friends.
His best friends later on in the series.
Yeah. Yep. That.
In Zeo, it's just Billy and Tommy left. Whoa, I can't wait to talk about that, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of... Zeo's really great. So, Ernie catches on to Bulk and Skull. Bulk is wearing a giant pink trench coat, first of all. And they're just standing in the middle of the dance floor.
He's got like that old lady. He's dressed like an old lady,
like
but
with
an
old Russian lady babushka. Handkerchief.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then, so they're like, you need to pay for this right now. He's like, I got your money, but I got to stop at the bank first. And Skull's like, don't go to the bank. What are you doing? And so Bulk just sits down, and this is when Ernie's like, that's not the bank. That's my chair. What are you doing? And so he takes his shoe off, takes his sock off, and he has filthy feet. His feet.
When he takes his shoe, before he takes his sock off, Skull wraps a bandana around his mouth and pulls his shirt up.
And then covers his trench coat over his face. Because he knows.
Oh,
he knows it's coming.
He saw the money go into the bank.
Because, like, when you're friends with someone for that long, like, you know what parts of them are disgusting. Like my other friend Josh sweats like no one's business. So Skull knows that Bulk has disgusting feet. That's just a thing he knows about Bulk, and as long as they're contained in his shoes, it's fine. But like when he takes it out, oh no, get out of here, guys. He takes his sock off. His feet are just caked in dirt.
They're just dirty,
like dried dirt. And then he's got like $3 between his toes,
like wedged between his toes. It's not just the money's not just stored
just
in his sock.
It's
in between his yucky toes.
His toes. And he's like, this should cover it. And he waves it in front of Ernie's nose, and Ernie passes out into the new cake. Oh man! So this brings up the question: does Bulk have to pay for both of these cakes? I don't know, because the Rangers run over. They're like, "Oh my God, what happened, Ernie?" And he's like,
"Jason's like, Ernie, now's not the time for cake.
You gotta put the sandwiches up first." And Ernie just like pops back up and goes, "It's okay, let's dance."
He's like, "Sandwiches, yeah, right. I gotta work up an appetite first. Let's dance."
And so he just starts dancing. And Josh turns to me and goes, "I'm the second worst dancer. You're the third worst. Ernie's the actual worst."
Ernie's the actual worst dancer.
So he's dancing. Everyone goes down. Kim and Zach are dancing. Jason and Trini are dancing. Billy and Marge are dancing.
Jason and Trini.
It'll never work. Or it will. I don't know.
It wouldn't. I mean, maybe they go to the peace conference.
They might work. So Ernie dances his troubles away. Everybody else dances.
He's covered in cake still. It's still all over his face.
He doesn't do anything. He just stands up and goes, "Hey, we're coming to episode. Let's dance." And he's still got all this cake on him. They go dance. Episode stops. That's our episode. So, any final thoughts?
Nope.
Me either. I think everything that we said in this episode pretty much happened. You guys know our feelings about Billy and Trini, and probably next week it'll be back to what it was before.
Probably.
Until the next time they bring in a girl to come talk to Billy. So in the meantime, our website is morphingrid.tumblr.com. You can email us, littleidiots.morphingrid@gmail.com, or you can talk to us on Twitter @morphingrid. Those are all the things we have. Sorry we're cutting this episode short. We're trying to avoid a static problem. We're not sure what causes it.
We're not really cutting it short. We're just done.
Yeah. I mean, we normally just talk about nothing for 10 minutes after this.
Instead, we're going to stop.
Yeah. So that's been podcast. Until next time.
May the power protect you. All right.
Until next time.
May the powers protect you.
All of them.
All the powers.
All the powers.
Let me do that again.
Okay.